Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, but before we get started, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? Very first thing, please go ahead and share this program. Please share this program on your webpage. Please share this program on your Facebook page, your Facebook wall, everywhere. That is the way we get our message out. That is the way we do it. That is the way we make sure that we're all privy to the real information, not necessarily dictated by our plutocracy, not necessarily dictated by our oligarchy, not necessarily dictated by those who don't necessarily wish the vast majority of Americans well, because they use the vast majority of Americans as what? Their sole source of, well, I'm not going to go there right now. But anyhow, folks, this is also a call-in show. I'd love to hear from you, 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Please make sure if you have anything you want to talk about, of course, you can put it in the Facebook page, which is where most of you talk to me anyway. But I would like to start getting some more calls, my dear friends. So go ahead and remember to give us a call if you have something to add. Is there some sharp news that you want to put out there? Is there something else that we need to get out there? Give us a call, 646-716-5812, and share it on your wall. You know, there was an interesting tweet, and I hope I got it here. It was put out by Representative Eric Swallow. I mean, it encapsulated perfectly Donald Trump's trip, what Donald Trump is about, and much more. Here's the deal. Trump's European vacation was as bad as the movie. He wimped out of honoring our fallen troops because of a misting. Oh, it was raining, man. He moped around in his hotel room and insulted fire victims, and he was scorched by the French president. This is not whining. This is a national embarrassment. Donald Trump, yes, is a national embarrassment. That is what we have to live with for the next 2 years or so. But you know what, folks? No despair. We are going to take care of business. We are going to take care of business. We are going to educate ourselves. We are going to inform others. We are going to be working with others. We are going to do what is necessary so that in the next 2 years, when 2020 come around, remember what I've been talking to you guys a long time about. It's not just about winning, because winning is not enough. We got to talk to people. We got to change minds. But it's about winning big. In Trump's parlance, winning bigly. And the reason why we have to win big are the changes that these guys have made, the changes that have been destroying this country going forward. It's not going to be an easy fix. We have a hell of a lot of work to do. But folks, here is the deal. I never, ever, ever, nunca is my word. Nunca pierdo la esperanza. I never lose hope, nor should you. Because you know what? If 2018 taught us something, 2018 taught us that Americans can be activated, and that when Americans feel that the people who are running, when Americans feel that the people who are going to do something positive are running, they come out. A lot still stayed in. It is our job as activists on the ground, activists in the media, activists on air, to do our job to make sure that we continue to talk to these people and get them out. And you know what, man? I'm going to do my part, or you're going to do your part. I am sure you will. before I get into the show, I want to, lately I haven't been doing my ask until somewhere late into the show, and by then a lot of folks have already checked out. So what I want to do is early on, I'm going to do it 3 times, but very sharp. Early on, I'm going to come and ask you guys to please go ahead. For those of you who have the wherewithal to support progressive media, support us going out there and telling the message, informing others, and making sure that others are informed well so that they stop voting against their own interests, so that we start bringing people together. If you believe in all of that, I ask you to support progressive media. And the one particular show I'd like you to support, of course, is Politics Done Right. And to do so, just go to patreon.com, patreon.com/Politics Done Right. The link is also in the Facebook message or the Facebook post or the Facebook video that you're watching right now, or just go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. And if you just want to go to our website, egbertowillies.com, click on the Patreon button and go ahead and start. Let's make sure that we keep our sources. Let's make sure we keep our sources there so that we can actually get something done. You guys know the body of work that we do here. Right? If you go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right, you see all the things you do. You see all the interviews we do. You see all the things, the performances we have. We make sure and do our part. So we ask you to be a part of us, be a part of the team. Those of you who come will get, as I'm writing How to Make America Utopia. I'm writing that book right now as we speak. Those that are subscribing now, and it's only the subscription rate, $1.99. Those guys who who subscribe to our cast here, they will be, as every chapter is written, they will get a link to go ahead and they can read it online. And when the book is complete, it's all theirs. So folks, please go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. I do the same. I support dailycoast.com, coffeepartyusa.com, democraticonderground.com, opednews.com, the Democratic Party, and on and on and on and go. That is the only way we are going to get the progressive message out there, if we support what we know is right. So I'm asking you kindly, I'm asking you boldly, I'm asking you humbly, please go ahead and be a part of our subscription base to Politics Done Right. Now that I've done that, I can go ahead and start with the program. Today's program is titled, as soon as I get it up on my pad here, today's program is titled, Vámonos a ver qué va a ser el título del programa. Will Republicans listen to this open letter? They definitely should. The shellacking, and subtitle, the shellacking that Republicans have taken in 2018 is not changing behavior. But why? Why isn't their behavior changing? They really got a shellacking. It looks like we're going to actually win 40 new seats. That's what it's looking like. I mean, seats that we thought we didn't have a chance of winning, we're winning. So we may actually go to 40 seats or maybe more. We know for sure we have 35 or so. But we may actually reach 40. Think about that, folks. We are making that change. We creep before we walk. A lot of people earlier on when the win came, the president went out real quickly. He knows about messaging, right? He goes out real quickly. And he said, I think for all practical purposes, we won. That's what Donald Trump said. He lost 40 seats. He lost all of Harris County. He lost all of Gwinnett County. He lost a whole lot of counties across the country. He lost 6 legislatures. And he said he won. And then Democrats just kind of say, oh, really? We thought we did better. No, you did better. We won. Bigly, we did. I promise you, we did. But again, it's all in narrative, and the Trump is an expert on that. He knows it. Hey, welcome aboard, Michael Dean Newton, Michael Rodney, Chase Escamilla, Lawrence Sims. Welcome aboard, my dear brothers and sisters. Okay, continuing. So, we won. Big. But he continues, right? He has to come out and tell you, oh, it wasn't all that good. And then he puts in your psyche that you didn't win. And then for all those new people that came out and that we are telling, we won. They're out there saying, oh, well, did we really? And the idea is to depress their morale. The idea is these new voters don't have the voting muscle yet. And what he wants to do is scramble. Patricia De Galani, welcome aboard. And what he wants to do is he wants to say, oh, no. Oh, man, it doesn't really make a difference. No, my dear brothers and sisters, we won big, and we're going to activate even more people. Had we activated, all we needed to do in Texas is get about 250,000 more people in the vote, about 3% more, and we win, right? But we had to know where our, you know what this election taught us? This election taught us where our deficiencies are, and that's what these things are good for. And it's good that it happened in the midterm. Now we know what red districts we need to go into and prime a bit more, because it's just a matter of getting a little bit more people in these districts, as well as bringing out more in our big districts. But we have to hit everywhere, because that red zone, I mean, when we were waiting on the report, we were out there waiting for all these results, right? And then when the results started coming, Beto looked great, Beto looked great. And then the red tide from the rural areas started to come in. Those people don't realize that the values that we are promoting, progressives are promoting, that when we say we want Medicare for all, what it means is that hospital in rural America that is closing right now will close no more. They don't know that when we talk about Medicare for all, that kid who is going from high school gets into an accident and there's no close by hospital because of the fallacies of the Republicans, because of the intransigence of the Republicans, because of the, I don't want to say evil, and I'm not talking Republican people, I'm talking Republican politicians who have fooled their people. That kid is going to die. He gets into an accident. That rural hospital is no longer there. That trauma center is no longer there. He has to wait for a helicopter that's going to take an hour to come in from a major city to take him back. These things have material value to our brothers and sisters in rural areas. It is incumbent on us, and we can do it through media as well. That's why we need to have things like Politics Done Right and these other shows funded as well, because while we can't necessarily go to Timbuktu, Texas is on the internet too. Timbuktu, Texas are watching these programs, and many progressives here in Houston have families in these rural areas who think they are supposed to be voting Republican or conservative. And while I can't reach them with Politics Done Right directly, because they have relatives who subscribe to Politics Done Right, and because in sharing from a relative's account, it suddenly shows up in their feed, and just maybe they listen to enough seconds of it that tickles them, that says, oh, let me continue listening a little bit more. Because there's this dude out there in Houston who is saying, I want to talk to the folks in rural America too. They are being hurt by the policies that they think are not hurting them. So you see, folks, that is how it works. So what we learn are places where we also have to activate. You know, there's I'm going to go into the show right now, because there's a thing I want to talk about, the caravan, right? So anyhow, let's go. The subtitle of the show is "The Shellacking That Republicans Have Taken in 2018 Is Not Changing Behavior." Why? Why isn't it changing behavior? Trump's false narrative and its acceptance by Republicans, Democrats, and the mainstream media keep the blinders on. So, folks, this is a show. Dr. Theis wrote an article, an open letter to Republicans, conservatives, and Trumpists that is getting a lot of buzz on the internet. That I put it on Coffee Party USA and a few other places, and it's starting to take off. So I think because it's taken off, I'm going to later on put some snippets on Daily Kos as well, and maybe on Op-Ed News. But folks, check this out. It is clear that there is a yearning for communication. The fact that it wasn't a hammering article, because this professor, he's not a Democrat, he's not a Republican, he's nothing, right? He's a professor of politics, government, and so forth. And his ideological slant is whatever it needs to be. All those who found this article interesting were not on the left side of the aisle. I've had several of the conversations, and I've had several conversations of these types that bore a whole lot of fruit. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine in Starbucks this morning. I've told her, look, when I sit there in Starbucks and I'm writing these programs, or I'm writing my book, or I'm writing whatever I'm writing, most of the people that come in and I have interaction with most of them aren't liberals. Last week I had quite a few liberals that I spoke to, but most of them in general aren't liberals, right? And you talk to them and you find out that, wow, they are interested in talking to you. And not only are they interested in talking to you once they don't think you're going to be judgmental, they listen, and you listen. Well, first of all, that's the first thing that I do. When I'm talking to these folks, I do a hell of a lot of listening first. But you listen, right? And suddenly when there's that mutual respect that gets developed, they start to say, well, I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. I'm not changing who I am. Nobody's asking you to do that, my friend. But let me think about that, and you'd be surprised of what happens then, because that's what's been happening in the way I've been approaching. It's a slow process, brothers and sisters. It's a slow process. But geometric progression work. Everybody does it. Then you teach others how to do it, and others, geometric progression, bear fruit. Continuing. This is what we will discuss today. In fact, his article is the blog of the week, and we're going to talk about the blog of the week after I am done with this little snippet here. On another note, where is all the news about the caravan coming to invade America? Remember, just before the election, the president kept on saying, oh, they're invading. And he moved the military. He brought 15,000. He moved 15,000 military personnel to the border, costing Americans millions of dollars to do that. He moved them. And he started to rile people up about this great invasion coming from the south. Of course, these are people on their foot running from Honduras, where policies of our own doing is truly making things difficult for those folks down there. And not only our policies, but then the support of the drug war and all these things are making things difficult down there in Honduras and otherwise, right? So they're coming up here, and this happens all the time, right? But suddenly this caravan is of concern, and there are bad people in there, and they're scaring the holy bejesus out of Republicans. Vis-a-vis, they're scaring the whole bejesus out of a whole lot of white Americans. My white brothers and my white sisters, we got to have a talk. Don't be so scary, because I'm telling you, folks don't want to attack you. Folks love you. Nobody wants to attack you. They love what we have in America. Por eso están viniendo. Por eso están tratando de venir de Centroamérica a los Estados Unidos. That's why they're coming from Central America here into the United States, right? They love America. Nobody wants to do harm to America. Hell, I'm from Central America. I love America. I came here. I chose it as my country, right? I could do well anywhere. A lot of these people can do well anywhere. We chose America. America has a structure that can be changed into what it was meant to be. And that's why we love this place. Because we have the structures that we can change and we can mold into what is, in fact, a great place. But there is a sect of people, and it's not the people themselves. It is those leaders out there that are misinforming, that are putting all these thoughts in people's heads, that are lying to them, that are creating false info. All that is the problem in America. That is what these shows are intent on solving. And we need a lot of them, because it's not going to come from the media. You know why? Because it is intentional. And the plutocracy, the oligarchy, the business community to some extent, needs the friction, needs the constant friction, so that they can continue to inflict on us. It's not that they hate us or they want harm to us. That's not it. But it's as we become more intelligent, as we become smarter, we start asking our leaders, we start asking business about our economic mode and why it is so uneven. Why is it that one isn't rewarded for the work that they do, the actual work that they do? We start asking those questions. So the best thing to prevent those questions to be asked is to keep us in a constant state of flux, a constant state of fear, a constant state of hate. But brothers and sisters, man, I hate nobody. Republican, Democrat, white, black, blue, Chinese, and whatever the hell it is. We have to learn, man, that we want folk, man. We want people. And once we get that in our heads, pour those guys, because we're coming for them. And that's what I intend. That's what I intend. I intend to love on everybody and make sure, folks, you know what? You know what? When we get it up there, because it's not you people that's messed up. It's a small amount of folks who are the guardian gates of the plutocracy. A friend of mine told me today, Egberto, I still can't get around that word plutocracy. Something gives me about it, because it's like, and I understand. I want to make everybody comfortable with that word plutocracy, that word oligarchy, that word those who are doing us harm. We got to get there. Anyhow, so as far as the caravan is concerned, whatever happened to it? It is important now, right? It is important now that we take this time to illustrate to conservatives how their politicians used their fears for an election and then just forgot about it. The false urgency, the false invasion. You see? It was such an invasion. It was such a thing that people had to do something about it now. We had to activate the military. We had to send them down there to fight those women, children, and folks walking over 1,000 miles to get to freedom, to get to economic freedom. We sent the military. We sent the military. You know how that looks around the world? The benevolent country sending the military. Wow. The benevolent country sending the military. Just as an exercise to make an election run the way you had hoped. Now, most of the times it didn't work, but sometimes it did work. It worked in Texas a bit. Those folks in the red areas in Texas, low information, and I don't mean that derogatorily or whatever the word is. I don't mean it that way. I just mean that they are not privy to the information, to the good information and the variety of information that we have here. You know, some of them are restricted by the stations that control everything in their area. So that's all they know. So I never blame and sit down and blame my rural brothers and sisters that, oh, they're so this. Look, if you were programmed like they were, you would be no different. In fact, many of us are programmed in certain ways ourselves on the left. But that's for another day. But folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, please don't forget to share this program. That is how we increase. That is how we educate. That is how we make sure people see things. Now, I want to thank Dr. Theis for this article. Well written, well received. Not accusatory, but it hit the spot. Very important, and I have a link to it in the show's notes. But here it goes. An open title of the show, a title of the title of the article, and I'm the one who took liberty to give it the title. An open letter to Republicans, conservatives, and Trumpists. Okay? An open letter to Republicans. I never thought, this is a doctor speaking, I never thought I would write a letter like this, but these are trying times for American democracy, and I felt the need to let you all know what I think. If we differ on policy, I have no issue with you. I think taxes can be and should be raised on the wealthiest Americans because we are currently stealing from future generations. I think we can't cut defense spending I think we can cut defense spending, as I do not see the world as a horribly dangerous place where the threats are coming from all over. In fact, I see many of the threats as predictable consequences of our actions. That is deep. A lot of the actions, the people running in here from Honduras, even though that's not a military issue, a lot of our actions around the world, Yemen, and us supporting the Saudis and bombing innocent people then creates more terrorists, etc. Things that we're doing. When it comes to when the doctor says, I think taxes need to be raised to help because we're stealing from future generations, it's so true. That my daughter is likely to graduate out. I paid all her undergraduate, that she is going to graduate from medical school with $500,000 owed. It tells you something about the society we live in. And that millions of students have so much debt that they can't buy a home says even more. It shows that student debt is a drag on the economy. Real estate people, like I heard on KPFT this morning, real estate people should be screaming. They should be saying, come on, government, let's go ahead and start forgiving loans or in a responsible way so that these folks can move on with the economy. But you see, all this money that's owed, all this money that's on the books, that is going to bankers. And bankers want everything, right? Money that they loan that is guaranteed by the federal government, but they are making an interest on it. After Obamacare came and used a piece of Obamacare to take care of that, those private loans were still given, and those interest rates are still higher. Not forgivable. Continuing with his letter. I think we need to have a national conversation about our history of race, and that as a white American, I have benefited from a system of racial oppression, first through slavery and then through segregation. Dr. Theis, that statement coming from a white man of around my age, well, we always tease each other. He's a year younger, so he's my little brother. But it's important coming from him, right? Because there is this theory now that the right is trying to promote, the right intelligentsia, not the people on the right. Again, like I said, I have mercy on the people because I understand where it's coming from. That somehow white males are now the endangered species, or the one everybody wants to attack, or somehow they're being attacked. But yet all the power in this country and around the world belongs to whom? You can't be the one being attacked when you hold all power or the vast majority of power. You can't be. But they want you to believe that. But you know who wants you to believe that? The guys that aren't giving the vast majority of white people a break either. Because it's not about race. Race is just a social construct used to deter, to distract. Because those are at the top, not all white. Not all. But they all share the same ideology. So it's never been about race. It's always race is used as a power grab, a power move. That's why I love everybody, man, because that's not what it's all about. Continuing with his piece. I don't believe that a society works best when everything is about making a profit and rewarding investors. Some things are better when there is a profit motive, but some things are not. Therefore, I think we need a national healthcare system where every American has access to high-quality health care at a price they can afford, and I think education should not be a profit-making enterprise. Right, should be the commons. I think our drug problem is immense, and that not only destroys the lives of the users and their families, but those consequences are compounded by the way we, as a society, seek to solve the problems of drugs through a drug war that is enforced in racial and classist ways. I think we are probably causing the earth to warm by the use of fossil fuels, and this will probably have dire consequences. But even if we aren't, I think we should find more modern forms of renewable fuels that do not use up resources which we know are finite. I hope folks understand what that is a very prescient statement. We know hydrocarbons are in fact finite. I mean, it'll end sometime. The only way then is to make sure that you start working on renewables right now. Why? Otherwise, there's a point in time when we just can't support our energy use. Why not start now? Don't wait till, people like to say the market will take care of it. No, the market won't take care of it. What the market is going to do is the market is going to say, oh, okay, now we have no energy. It zooms up the price, kills a lot of people, and only those who can afford. And it spirals down from there. That's another story, and that's another thing I don't want to get into right now. But the doctor is absolutely correct. I believe a woman has a right to control her body, but I'm also very uncomfortable with abortion, as it does end the life on an unborn baby. I don't know how to solve this dilemma, but I do know that making abortion illegal will lead to back alley abortions that cause women harm, and it will not eliminate abortions. Nor do I believe that a woman who was a victim of rape or incest should be forced by the government to carry a child to term. Like these issues, I am sure there are many others on which we disagree. If you had asked me for a list of things I believed 30 years ago, you would have gotten a much different list. I voted for Ronald Reagan. I believed tax cuts would spur economic growth and bring more revenue and balance to the budget. I believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. I supported increase. This is the doctor speaking. I supported increased defense spending and believed that spending a little bit more would yield a peace dividend that could further reduce the deficit. The last 38 years of my life showed me I was absolutely wrong about some of these things. Tax cuts haven't helped balance the budget. A rising tide only lifts the yachts, not the dignities, as wages have remained essentially flat over the last 40 years. You know, you'd hear a lot of Republicans complain about that narrative, right? Oh, under Reagan, we even brought in more money when we cut taxes. No, under Reagan, you brought in more money when you cut more taxes and exploded the budget, because what you had was a net increase in the amount of spending. If you have the net increase in the amount of spending, you will spur the economy. If the economy is spurred, you will get more spending, and in getting more spending and spending and respending and spending, you collect more taxes. But it's not inherently the tax cut that did it, but it was a Keynesian effect of deficit spending from the tax that the tax cut caused, or that the tax cut made worse. Look, this is basic arithmetic, and every Reaganite knew that. In fact, one of his, I don't remember his name right now, got into trouble because he finally told the truth. He told the truth. Dave Stockton told the truth. His budget director told the truth. And they summarily got him out of the administration, but he said, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. And he made that quite clear. So, folks, please do remember, it doesn't work. Anyhow, continuing, I thought government spending, as the doctor said, I thought government spending could and should constrain, and I have continued to believe that. There was never going to be a peace dividend, because I came to realize that power provides an oh, you know what? I missed one part. I have realized that markets cannot fix every problem, and nor can the government. There are problems with the free market, like externalities, asymmetric information, tendencies toward monopoly, collective action issues, and conflicts between short-term and long-term interests. I thought the government spending could and should be constrained, and I have continued to believe that. There was never going to be a peace dividend, because I came to realize that power provides an unequal playing field, and it ensures some interests prosper at the expense of others. My thinking has evolved and changed over time as my ideas collide with the changing world I live in, the experiences that I have in that world, and new evidence that I discover. That is an important statement. The man is saying, look, these things sound plausible. The way these guys explain it, it sounds like it should be true. Of course, all of this stuff went through the Heritage Foundation and all these organizations to make it look plausible, but in reality, it's not. And how do we know it's not? Because it didn't happen. And why didn't it happen? People will say, well, it didn't happen because you didn't follow all the things. No, it didn't happen because it just makes no sense. And you know what? The promoters of these values know it doesn't make any sense either. But they continue to put it out there, because as long as we keep chaos, as the chaos continues, people profit. They don't need stability for profit. They just don't need they just want to make sure things are not regulated and orderly. When things are regulated and orderly, when there's a reduction in entropy, it's harder to make money. But when there's a whole lot of flux and nobody know what the hell's going on, you make a lot of money. That's what happened in 2000, the lead up to 2008. Nobody understood how derivatives really worked. Nobody understood that derivatives could become circular. And after it became circular, if insurance 1 insures insurance 2, insurance 2 insures insurance 3, insurance 3 buys an insurance policy from insurance 1. When insurance 1 fails, they go to collect from 2. When 2 fails, they go to collect from 3. When 3 fails, they go to collect from 1. But guess what? 1 failed. You know, these concepts are simple. Unfortunately, it is made nebulous to many just so that they can rip you off, and that's what the plutocracy does. My dear friend who hates the word plutocracy, or who's trying to love the word plutocracy, that's what it does. Continuing. Life is not fair, and powerful interests who profit and benefit from the way society works in their favor are going to do everything if they can to keep the status quo. Some people say that is just the way the world works. Well, I do not believe it does have to work that way, and I believe we can make the world operate differently, more fairly, more justly, says the professor. You do not have to agree with me on any of these issues. I do not need to have your affirmations. I read and I seek to be informed on issues, and I would be happy to have a conversation about these or any other issues. I can explain why I think the way I do and provide evidence and the reasons for my thinking. When presented with persuasive evidence and thinking, I am not opposed to changing how I think. I have in the past, and I am sure I will in the future. You may not agree with me, and I may be baffled at how you cannot see the world as I do. That is okay. A long time ago, I discovered that I am not always right. A long time ago, I discovered that I do not need everyone to agree with me. A long time ago, I discovered that reasonable people can disagree, and it's okay. Disagreeing doesn't necessarily make you stupid or evil, although you may be. If your opinions are based on evidence and reason, it just means you have different priorities, different values, and different life experiences. If we talk in a civil manner, we may find that we share many of the same concerns and have agreement on some steps that we can take to solve some of the problems that afflict the country. We might be able to come up with some compromises that we can both live with to fix our society. There is not a person on the left that I have spoken with who wants to see people abuse the welfare system and live better than those who work hard day in a day out to provide for their families. Likewise, I have not spoken to anyone on the right that believes that children in America should be homeless and starving. We can figure out how to solve disagreements about welfare policy without doing either of those things if we try. However, if you think I'm a libtard for believing as I do, then we have a problem. If you believe that the caravan is right on our doorsteps and people in it are carrying smallpox eradicated on Earth since 1980, then we have a problem. If you believe Donald Trump won the majority of the popular vote with 63 million, as Sarah Sanders claimed, then we have a problem. If you believe that a bill to spend $6 billion on the opioid crisis passed with little Democratic support when the vote was the final version passed the House with 393 to 8 on September 8th and in the Senate 98 to 1 on October 3rd, and all 9 votes against the measure in both houses were Republicans, then we have a problem. That particular item I want to repeat, because here's the deal. A lot of people, the president said that it was a lot of Republicans or Democrats voted against these bills that help the people with opioids. A complete lie. There were only 9 total votes, including it from the Senate and the House, that voted against that bill. And all 9 votes voting against it were Republicans. But you know what? The followers of the president, when he says those things, many of them believe it. It is up to us to lay and tell them the truth. It is up to us. If you believe that bombs sent to prominent Democrats were a liberal false flag operation, then we have a problem. If you want to believe those and other pieces of misinformation, then you don't want to live in a world with facts. You choose to live in a world of illusion. We can't talk if your beliefs drive your facts rather than the facts driving your beliefs. We can't talk if you engage in childish name calling and you question the sincerity, patriotism, morality, or intelligence of people who disagree with you. If we can't talk, democracy can't work, and our problems won't get solved. So says Dr. Theis, and I agree 100%. And our problems will get solved because there are enough of us out here. There are enough of us out here that really want to do the work, that really want to engage folks from all over. I mean, the other day I was talking to my wife and a couple other folk. I said, you know what I thought about doing? I thought about getting me putting together a GoFundMe to get a little to purchase a bug, one of those little bug cars, and then drive around the entire country with an antenna on that bug, doing all my blogging and all my radio shows on the road 365 days a year, going into all those rural counties, all those places where they don't see folks that look like me, but they have a narrative about folks that look like me, folks that look like many others, and just go ahead and run around these places and start talking to folk, bringing them the world according to reality. Just talking to people all over. Put up a tent somewhere, park the car, run the radio show, and have it right there, and just do a hell of a lot of listening at the end. Kind of have a talk and say, why don't you check this out when I'm gone? Why don't you check this out when I'm gone? You have options. And, probably have a fleet of us doing that, just driving around the country. It's a big, big, big country. You need a lot of politics done right out there. You need a lot of politics programs like Politics Done Right, reaching different niches out there. So I thought about that. I'm still thinking about it. Maybe go ahead and get me a GoFundMe and just get that car, fix it up with that satellite antenna, and then we'll do this show continuously on the road. All the video, bringing it all. Because you know what, folks? We're at an impasse, and the doctor is absolutely correct. If we just realize that we could talk about these things, if we just realize that, then things would be okay. Folks, telephone number 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Let me do a quick promo, and it's going to be quick, so stay with me. Don't leave because you see me doing a promo, so please stay with me. And if you can, please go ahead and provide support for Politics Done Right. Anyway, folks, this is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams. Please remember that if you want to keep these types of programs on air, if you want us to have maximal penetration, if you want to make sure that we inform our brothers and sisters all over the darn country about what's really happening, if you want that to really happen, if you really want change, if you really want to get the people elected, you need a whole lot of programs like this. A whole lot of programs like this. And folks like myself, we've thrown ourselves on the line. Folks like me, I gave up everything. Say, I'm going to make a difference because I always talk, I have a big mouth. And I always said, why don't somebody do this or why don't somebody do that? And then it ring in the head. Well, that somebody has got to be you. Somebody has got to be you. Just like when I'm saying, hey, help fund Politics Done Right on other progressive shows. You can't say, let's wait for that other person to do it. All of us have to be in this stuff together. All of us have to fund these movements together. So I ask you to please go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And $1.99 is all it takes. Help Politics Done Right move. I need thousands of supporters to do that so that we can really continue to get this message out. I mean, we can do that, right? We can really go ahead and keep doing this stuff. Check out the body of work. Because you have a whole lot of charlatanes out there. You have a whole lot of preachers out there. They'll be, we need to save the world. And, look, this is real here. What we're doing here is real. What we're trying to say is we have a body of work that you can actually go see. You can see what we're doing. It's like folks like myself, I'm always on Facebook letting you know what I'm doing. When I'm out in Washington, D.C., when I'm out in Oregon, when I'm out in Seattle, wherever I am, I'm Facebooking, I'm Instagramming, let you know the work goes on. We're out there doing. We're pushing the message. We're out there talking to the senators. We're getting those politicians that don't get aired. When you saw that we did several interviews with the person that the most powerful woman in the entire Harris County now, when Lina Hidalgo needed coverage, we gave Lina Hidalgo coverage, and we gave many Bill McCloyd coverage. We gave all these people coverage. Why? They weren't going to get it from the big guys, but we could use our networks to promote these guys. So please, folks, if you have the wherewithal, please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Politics Done Right. Okay, that's the last one for now. The next one will be at the end of the show. Folks, I'd love for you to call 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. So what's happening in the world today? I hope you enjoyed Dr. Theis's piece. I'm going to have Dr. Theis in studio sometime soon. I haven't told him that yet, but I have to check out what his schedule looks like. But he's an intriguing character, very smart, knows politics and governments, not only the United States government, but governments from around the world very well, and some economics. So it's so important for us to start bringing these folks to our people. When I say our people, I'm talking about Americans, all. I don't care what political party, I don't care what you are, but we have to make sure that we're working with what's truth, what the truth is. And when we tell the truth, we know Americans are good people. You know, I mean, people always talk about, look, I think Americans are good people. People are good people. Most of the world's good people. Many are misinformed, and that is our goal, to solve that problem. Many are misinformed, and that is our goal, to solve that problem. So what we intend to do going forward, folks, is not only have these shows, but later on we're gonna, I'm setting up this thing called Zoom. And with Zoom, what we're going to do is we're going to have in between, I don't know, maybe once a week or a few times a month. I don't exactly know how. What I'm going to get within our group here is a discussion forum where we can come on video and see each other as we talk. And those people who are comfortable doing that, we're going to want to have that, because I think that is going to be extending the conversation, and also together we can turn people in Bible parlance into fishers of people. Fishers of people. What we mean by that is make sure that all of us know the message, all of us understand the truth of the message, so that we can all take and spread the message that in a form that best suits the people in our own sphere. That is the goal. That is the goal. Now, before I go, I also want to talk a little bit about, for those people who just think that, oh, we are here bashing Republicans, we're not. I wanted to show let's see if I have time for that video. Do I have time for that video? Maybe. I want to play a video that I did with Bill Kristol. I taped it. I was at the Bridge Alliance in Washington, D.C. 3 weeks ago, I think it was. And Bill Kristol, who is the editor of, I don't remember the name of the magazine right now, but he gave a speech, and I want you to listen to it. I think I found it, so it looks like I'm going to be able to play it. Let me just cue this up here so that it doesn't block out everything here, and I really, really want you to listen to what Bill had to say. I think I have enough time to show it. So let's go ahead and do that. Is that right? Let me see. I think that may be the wrong one. But what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to show you this video, and it's important because a lot of people think that a lot of folks are just banging the Republicans or hitting them hard, or which is not really the case. The case is mostly that there is something happening that's not good for the country. And if some of us don't do it, here it is. Here's the video. There you go. I found it. Yay, I found it. So there is just something wrong. And if we don't tackle that now, if we don't handle that now, it will be just too late. A lot of people don't quite get it yet. But you know what? Those of us who do, it is our responsibility to take care of business. Here's that video.
I'm Bill Kristol. I was invited here because Bill Galston and I did a project for the new center, which was you can read online. It was a report on several policy areas where we, as a proof of concept, showed that there can be solutions, or at least progress made, in a bunch of policy areas with center, left and right coming together to some degree to at least agree on the outlines of progress, much more than one would think from our hyper-polarized and hyper-partisan political system. You can read that on report online. Bill can talk a little bit more if he wants about New Center going forward. He also will talk about interesting work I think that they're doing at No Labels to try to break the congressional gridlock, which is preventing some of these, some policy progress from happening that could be happening. I'll say a word about a different related but different effort that I'm involved in, Defending Democracy Together. This was launched in cooperation with the Democracy Fund and with others in this room, Sarah Longwell and I and a few others. And she's here, and I think we'll be here for pretty much the whole day. I have to be in and out a little this afternoon, so you can lodge all complaints with her and all praise with me before I leave for our efforts. So that's a 501c4 that's attempting to defend democracy. We've got stood up various groups, Republicans for the Rule of Law, Republicans Against Tariffs, done some research, done some broader efforts looking forward to 2019, 2020, to put, not to overthink it, to be simple about it, this is an attempt to save the Republican Party from Donald Trump and Trumpism. That's our lane. We work with many people in this room and many other people on all kinds of civic, centrist, bipartisan, and so forth type governance efforts. We're sympathetic to a lot of them. We're doing some of them a little bit on the side or helping out on the side. But our core effort, I think our comparative advantage, honestly, is an attempt to save one of our two major national political parties from going in a nativist, xenophobic, somewhat authoritarian direction, one that would not be friendly to the future of liberal democracy. And that's kind of important because modern government is party government. In the US, it's been two parties for a long, long time. Maybe that'll change. I'm open to its changing. But for now, it's two major parties, and it kind of makes a difference if one of those two major parties is basically friendly to and supportive of the norms and institutions of liberal democracy or not. And right now, that's in question, I think, because of the fact that Donald Trump, not to make it too personal, but it is the fact that he's the president. He's the leader of the party. For now, he has control mostly of the party and approval mostly from the party. And if that continues and is allowed to simply go down that, if the party is allowed to go down that path, I think you're facing much greater challenges than we face already. The problems were all there before Trump. Trump is a symptom, not the disease, as we often hear, but he's a symptom that makes dealing with the disease much, much harder. I would almost say impossible for the time being. It's sort of if you have underlying problems medically and you have an infection, you need to deal with the infection before you can even begin the kinds of operations and therapy and other kinds of medical procedures you would want to deal with various underlying problems. So that's our focus, a little more short-term perhaps than some in this room, but we think important. Our daughter-in-law just began her residency in emergency medicine, and we were chatting about what she was doing and what Sarah and I are doing at Defending Democracy Together, and we decided we're the emergency room, the emergency medicine part of this. You all are the therapists and psychiatrists and neurologists and all the fancy doctors and physicians with deep analyses and remedies for what ails us, but we're going to try to get the patient out of the emergency room into a stabilized situation where you all can deal with him or her. Is it hopeless? No, it's a little bit of an uphill struggle right now, but we've done, among other things, quite a lot of polling and some focus groups. And it turns out, I'll just tell you this quickly, that you look at the headlines, 85% of Republicans approve of Trump, and it looks, congressional Republicans have certainly been pretty pathetically subservient to Trump. But when you look at the polls more closely, 45% of Republican primary voters in New Hampshire, caucus goers in Iowa, say they'll consider an alternative to Trump in a 2020 Republican primary, which is pretty high given that the economy is good right now, no obvious foreign policy crises. We haven't had the November 6th election yet, which might suggest that Trump is more trouble for the party than Republicans would like. We haven't had, obviously, the Mueller report. Focus groups showed this too. Well, just on the polls for a minute, the 85% thing particularly is misleading. About 45 to 50% of that 85% are Trump supporters. 35% or so are reluctant Trump supporters. They, more than I would like, accommodate him, rationalize him, are happy to have certain policy victories and are willing to ignore or minimize the damage done by other things he's doing and saying, but they're not thrilled with him. And Sarah did a couple of focus groups in sort of suburban Republican types, reluctant Trump supporters. And it was very striking. The first half, they were sort of defending Trump, basically, against attempts by the moderator to criticize Trump. And they were happy to attack liberal Democrats, the liberal media, and so forth. After the break, the moderator said, well, so you all are on board with Trump then for renomination or re-election in 2020? And it was like, I'm not so sure about that, you know. I mean, we want to defend him. He's done some good. He's done some disruptive stuff that's necessary, you know. But another 4 years, it might be a little much. And couldn't we have a little more governance and a little more bipartisanship and a little more collegiality? Voters are able at one and the same time to want disruption. And then when the disruption is divisive, to say, well, we don't really like the divisiveness of Washington, which isn't unreasonable, incidentally, for voters. They want a kind of disruption that will lead to governance, not a disruption that leads to chaos or to increased inability and impossibility of governance. I do think a challenger to Trump from either side or any side would have to be a reformer who would say, this really is about draining the swamp. Trump, in a way, sold you a bill of goods, but it's understandable that you might have fallen for that. In any case, the focus groups and the polls do suggest that we have an uphill struggle, but maybe not a totally uphill struggle to save the Republican Party from Trump and Trumpism. I mentioned the emergency room analogy. I like the airline analogy, but thinking about what we're doing in that respect, I would say we just want the airline to land safely at this point. And then you all can go around litigating all your grievances about seat size and, you know, the quality of the food and the scheduling of the airplane flights. Thanks.
Okay, so that was at the Bridge Alliance. We had this conference where we brought in groups from all different ideologies in there to work together and see how we can come up with solutions or how we can work together as a country to make things better for everybody. So that is what that was all about, and he was one of the guest speakers at the location. And as you can see, he is out to, he thinks that the party is in trouble, and what he wants to do is save the party in his own parlance. Okay, let's see how many more minutes I got here. Real quickly, let me go ahead and just see. I tell you what, I'll go ahead and answer all these calls down here. Hi, Stephen Ayala. Welcome aboard. Patricia Galani, Michael Rudnin, Mike Cisak, Elaine Kimsey. Let's see who else we have. Kathleen Morgan, welcome aboard. And Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. And of course, my resident Daniel Ledo, welcome aboard. Let's see who else I have here. If I missed you, forgive me. But my digital expert, Chase K. Escamilla. Chase Case Escamilla. Welcome aboard, folks. Well, look, we're coming to the end of the show. My last pitch here, real quickly. Want to tell you, folks, please go ahead and go to patreon.com. Again, that is patreon.com. And please support Politics Done Right. Go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right, and support us. Folks, this is the end of the show. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know how I close this baby out? I am, what am I? I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.